expressing things through words, it's important to have a common, agreed upon understanding of what those words mean. It just makes, obviously, conversation simpler. Everybody tends to agree on what a word means. That's how it becomes part of language and is useful in conveying an idea. Uh, so the problem when when it comes to expressing an idea like manliness or masculinity, or what it means to be a man, uh, is for the longest time, at least in the Western world, in the English language, uh, the people who have kind of been the ones defining the common understanding are some of the dumbest people on the planet. And of course, they tend to define it highlighting their attributes while downplaying their weaknesses. So, that's why, it's not manly to do household chores because they don't know how to do fucking household chores. It's not manly to wear makeup because the average 16-year-old girl is a master at makeup compared to the average 40-year-old dude. So, um, yeah, the people who have defined the words for popular use um, just suck. I mean, they're terrible people. Like there is a difference between masculinity and hypermasculinity, between um, masculinity and manliness, and the sort of toxic um, manliness, the toxic masculinity. But really, the way it's kind of taught and conveyed, it's toxic the way it is. You don't really need to add toxic to it. It's just toxic because it's incorrect. It doesn't function. Um, it's not what is best for society. It doesn't fit in with the evolving society. It is just the biggest assholes have decided that being the biggest asshole is basically what it means to be a man. Um, and so, yeah, that drastically needs to change. And when you see, though, a lot of the people out there talking about what does it mean to be a man, how do you become a man, um, they're like the pickup artist type. So they're scum. Their whole idea of manliness is how good are you at manipulating women, or how good are you at acquiring material things and displaying them like a peacock to get women's interest, or to get what they think interests women, because they never actually talk to women or get to know women. They just want to sleep with them. So anyway, so all those things, that we commonly associate with manliness and manhood, it's just garbage. I mean, it's not entirely off. Some of it is based on reality, good things, but none of those things are inherent in being a man, like in being male, and being assigned male at birth. You know, um, those aren't inherent qualities. It's the difference is kind of how they're acted on. How so? Like, let me say the probably grounded most, just to set a baseline kind of definition of what it should mean to be a man is when something needs to be taken care of. Okay, something has to be done. You fucking do it. You step up and you do it. Uh, And when you really kind of extrapolate on that idea, that's basically what it means to be an adult. Really, that's basic adulting. You know, um, the bills have to be paid. You have to get up and go to work. I mean, it's that's a long discussion in itself with capitalism and blah blah blah. But you know, it's not that you don't get sad when a bad thing happens. You don't hide your emotions like always. That's not manliness. That's cowardice. If you're hiding something, why? But like say somebody passes away, um, somebody needs to step up and take care of the things that need to be taken care of, which is very hard because that's an extremely emotional time. And so, in this respect, what it means to be a man, it doesn't mean don't be sad as people die, don't cry about it, don't. It just means, you know, address the things that need to be addressed. Get through those things. Let other people rely on you doing those things because, and it's not a knock on their manliness or their womanliness if they're unable or their adultness. It's just that's a very difficult situation. So, and that's kind of an extreme example, but you know, um, when you watch, I mean, when somebody dies, you'll see very different examples of manliness, of manhood, where and it's really just men being fucking adults. Where some actually take care of the funeral responsibilities, like dealing with the funeral, dealing with all the finances, dealing with all the paperwork, the lawyers, the whatever they got to deal with. Others that are kind of better equipped and or closer to the family and the friends, so they're more of like the rock, a comfort, and that so even in that situation, manliness can express itself in different ways. The one that's not afraid to, you know, cry because if they see that need, like especially, when people gather in public, sometimes it's hard, So I mean, being the first one to cry, that's not a bad thing. You're letting others know, hey, this is okay. This is a hard thing. If you need to cry, like I'm here, like and it's okay, even in public. It just when things need to be taken care of, you take care of it. And if you notice, like very easily, every single one of those things can be done by a woman. I mean, there's nothing stopping a woman or a non-binary person from handling the funeral director and making sure everything is done correctly. Um, there's of course there's nothing stopping the women from being the first one to cry or going up to other people and hugging them and making sure they know it's okay, and to validate and appreciate the emotions of the other people. Um, so I mean, again, it's just basically so that basic level is, are you a fucking adult? I mean, and then aside, like it doesn't matter if not. All right, where was I going with that? I lost my thought. I got itchy again. So anyway, um, yeah, like so, and it's hard. Like there's some of the strongest people I know can barely get out of bed every day. You know, either due to depression, anxiety, just that the situations they happen to be in, they're under a lot of stress, or they just have to deal with so much when they do get out of bed. Um, so, and in a way, just the fact they get out of bed is fucking ballsy as hell. That's manly. That's you know. Um, but it's also, it's an adult thing. Should be considered masculine and manly to say, I've reached my limit. If I go on, I'm going to break down. So I'm going to go, um, sort of initiate my own breakdown, and I'll be in bed for a while. That is an adult thing to do. To take yourself out of those situations when you're not, you know, being real enough with yourself and the people around you to say, hey, mental health check or emotional vibe check. I need to step back and crash and fall apart for a minute. Um, because those situations, I mean, if you just keep driving yourself to exhaustion, it's much harder to pull yourself back together. Um, and so again, like a lot of that, it's not kind of gender defined. You can do everything that's required to be a man and not even be male or have a penis or not want to be male. I mean, they're all the same things as what makes a strong woman, a good woman. You know, uh, but yeah. So it's not like, I don't know. Like people get the idea. Like they see that these the Clint Eastwood or the John Wayne or the you know and they kind of see that as a one dimensional. They see all these characters as kind of one dimensional. As that's what masculinity is. This is the idea. When really a lot of them are very poor examples. Um, but if you look at them in a three dimensional way, I mean, it's almost human. Like you know, it's not unreal, and there is kind of a sense of masculinity in it, and their inner strength, their inner drive. Um, but at the same time, it's usually exaggerated, um, for the screen in order to dramatize these situations. And a lot of times they end up, um, it's just racist or misogynist or, um, yeah, because there's nothing manly about putting down other people in any way, especially you know demeaning women. Like, why? If you're a man, if you're secure in your manliness, um, what women are doing, what they are capable of, what they should do, what they want to do, like that doesn't affect you at all. And in fact, you should always want to uplift. Um, if you're saying that women should stay home and cook, why? Why are you why are you so insecure? Like, and so that idea needs to be driven out of the idea of masculinity. Like they don't coexist. You can't have both. And I'm going to say that just straight up. You cannot be both truly manly, truly masculine, and a misogynist. Because what you are then is a shallow peacock. You're all about the display, but inwardly, um, there's nothing. You're shallow. You're weak. You're uh, yeah. You should be, one, looking at women on an individual level and celebrating their accomplishments and, encouraging their drives, their desires, their hopes, you know, their dreams, regardless of what you think, is appropriate or not appropriate. And even thinking in those terms, it's such a weakness, you know. Um, so I mean that's really another example. I know I think I'm kind of rambling a lot here. Not sure that any of this is really going in the right direction, but I mean just that inward. evaluation. It's really all about knowing yourself and then finding that security within yourself, and also understanding you change as you grow. So the things you liked in high school, some of the things you'll still like when you're an adult. Some of it you won't. Some of it you grow out of. If you haven't grown out of anything you liked in high school, you're you're a high schooler still. Mentally, emotionally, it's pretty much guaranteed you are still on that same level because you have not done enough introspection and growing to actually become a man. And it's not easy, especially in this world. Like, man, it's so not easy. I'm not really trying to disparage anybody, especially young people who are still trying to figure out even what it means to just be them. Do they even want to be a man? Is masculinity a thing that in any way appeals to them? And before you can even answer that question, there's all this intense outside pressure to say, "Oh, you gotta like big boobies, you got to," or that's the manly thing, that's the masculine. You gotta try to sleep with as many women as possible. That's the manly thing, and you gotta hate women that sleep with as many men as possible. That's, I mean, but yeah, all this is being thrust on you before you even know if you like girls. You know, you're already inundated with all these crappy ideas. So I mean, of course, there's a lot of people that grow up or don't grow with a lot of bad ideas, with a lot of bad concepts of what masculinity is, uh, because they we just don't give people a chance. It is hard. It is really hard to break through all that noise and really get to self-examining to where you figure out what you like and why. You know, um, I've never been, romantically interested in men. Um, but that doesn't default because I'm male and I've never been interested in men. Doesn't, to me, default as in, okay, well, that's what it means to be a man. Like, no. um, I mean, I think, especially when I was younger, like, it took so much more guts to come out as a gay person. Um, Especially if you were young. Um, like, it could destroy your social life. You would be the victim of ceaseless bullying. Even if you weren't gay, even if you just had the appearance of being gay, you know. So for people that came out as gay, like coming out as straight, you don't come out as straight. You just are. I just am. Um, and I did do a lot of self-examining as time went on because not so much as am I gay or straight because I've never been romantically interested in men. It never even occurred to me really. Do I need to examine if I'm gay? No, I although I did do a very deep kind of introspective examination of why. Like when I realized like not only do I like women but how much, and that hormonal drive really kicked in. I mean, that confused the hell out of me. It was like all of a sudden, holy shit, there's a whole another world out there. But yeah, I mean, I did some intensive examining that because, as this part of me that was so strong and so overwhelming, I wanted to understand it. Um, but and doing so, that's how I came to the realization too that like there's no, it doesn't take strength to say as a cis white male I like women. There's no manliness. There's no. I mean, it's assumed to be default. But if you say I like men. I mean, it's easier now to a degree. I still wouldn't say easy. It's certainly not nearly as easy as um, there's no pushback on what I say or who I am. Whereas for them, to just be out, to just, you know, or even to not, if for some reason they have to hide it. Like, god damn, that takes a lot. That takes fucking strength. If someone were to, if I for some reason had to hide the fact I like women and could not reveal it and had to pretend I like men in order to fit in order to not be bullied, like, I couldn't even imagine it. Like, so yeah, I mean, I would say that to exist as a gay person is by far, you know, the more masculine, the more manly thing to do, because just the sheer amount you have to overcome on a daily basis. It's like, these weights, again, society putting all this weight, all this pressure on you, and that even to get out of bed each day and face this, you are naturally just forming this stronger will, this stronger sense of being, of presence, of who you are. Um, and it's not like you have a choice, but you do it. Um, and again, with like transgender men, is there anybody in today's society more manly than a transgender man? Who transgender men get like almost no support. There's a lot of strong support now coming from women in general for transgender women, which deservedly and thankfully, because the same thing I'm saying about transgender men applies to transgender women, except for there's almost none of that. It's not that these same women don't support the men, but they're not as vocal about it. Um, Transgender men almost get kind of brushed aside, not as an intentional "we're going to ignore you." It's um, just happens to be the way things are with the push against transgender women from TERFs and gender criticals. The you know Transgender women are kind of at the forefront at the moment. Um, but goddamn, how incredibly just the balls, the strength it takes to face society every day as a transgender man is. God, how is that? Like I can't compete. I got no similar stories. I got no similar, like, it's like like lifting weights. Like, I can't lift that much weight. I can't do it. Like in a metaphysical sense or in a metaphorical sense. Um, I can't lift that weight, and you know I'm in awe of people who do it, and that's why it just drives me crazy when they say trans women are women, trans men are men. Like, bullshit. Like, I'm sorry. That's just the sheer strength to deal with it from day to day, and all the loved ones they've lost, and even more so all the people they've connected with that are like them, that they then lose to suicide or something, and because that weight every day, man, just dealing with that every day. Um, yeah, so I'm sorry. I'm just going to get totally lost and off track here. But to summarize, really, and beginning that conversation of, what makes a man a man, what is masculinity, um, it needs to be taken away from the dumbasses who only exercise, you know, their biceps, their physical muscles, you know, um, or the people, like the people we have in power, like the most horrible, monstrous people on earth. Like, there's nothing masculine about these people. They're cowards. They're predators, but they're not even like a tiger type predator. They're like a, I don't No. What would be a good example? Like they let other people. They're vultures. There's that's a better. They steal other people's kill. They hire the police to do their dirty work. They have the military to do their dirty work. They don't even confront it themselves. Um, so pretty much everything to deal with them, everything they represent, everything they are, needs to be taken out of the conversation of what it means to be a man, what it means to be masculine, because they're not, and they shouldn't be allowed to affect that conversation in the way they have historically. It really needs to begin to adjust, and I don't want to sit here and say, here's exactly what it means to be a man, because I mean, if you feel like a man, then you have just as much right as everybody else that feels like a man to kind of add your piece, and have your say in that conversation. And there's not really anybody that can say you're wrong, um, except for you dipshits out there that have completely ruined the whole the whole concept of manliness and masculinity. Um, yeah, fuck you guys. Um, but yeah, so if you feel you are a man, then you do have the right to add your voice to that conversation and that discussion, um, regardless of what the dipshits say. It's time we started pushing them out of the conversation. Um, who cares how they define things? Just like Elon Musk may be the richest man in one way, in the least meaningful way, he in every other aspect of humanity, he is like the poorest person on earth. He is the in poverty. He is, you know, when it comes to all the positive virtue of what it means to be human, he is devoid of them. So, and it's the same way, like with these men, with these people that we've allowed to define masculinity. Like they have a wealth of one thing, whether it be that false bravado, the charisma, or they just worked out a lot, or happen to be genetically lucky to be naturally stronger. Um, in every other way, you know, they're pretty much devoid of manliness, of what it means. These are the people who keep putting weight on kids trying to grow up and put those stresses on them so that to warp them to be like them. When, I'm sorry, but a real man, an actual adult, is going to want to try to take those weights off of kids. They want to support them, to remove those stresses from them, and let them know, give them the space to grow and kind of come to terms with things. So, anyway, this is a long ramble. I'm not sure I really fully wrapped it up, but already been a half an hour. So, thank you for listening. And yeah, that's about all.